Today we want to talk about how we install from the very beginning and through the process. This is going to be very high level. We're not going to get into the in-depth of the how-to, but we are going to go through the process to make sure that you understand not only how we do it, but the steps we're supposed to take. The very first way to do this for us is we're going to talk about the installation non-negotiables. These are things that happen no matter what type of installation we're doing, whether we're pulling one cable to be pulled into a wall and put in a jack and patch it into the patch panel, or if we're doing a 100 or 200 security camera installation, or if we're doing a 20-door access control system. Whichever one we're doing, this is a non-negotiable. This happens every single time. The first is we want to talk about our pre-delivery walkthrough. This is not the walkthrough that we did to quote this project. This is the walkthrough that not the project manager walks through. This isn't the salesperson walking through. This is the technician team that's on site. They have a packet in hand that says what's going to happen, where it needs to go. This is the walkthrough where the technicians walk the location, find the locations that's in the packet, the installation packet, and says, this is where that camera is said it needs to go. This is where we're going to put it. And you take something like masking tape or something, and you put it there. At that point, you can find your routes. But you want to take the next hour or 2 hours and make sure that this walkthrough is done thoroughly. You want to look at your routes. You want to look at, is there a place that we're going to have to make a penetration? What are we going to have to make a penetration through? Are we punching through sheet metal? Are we going to have to go through drywall? Are we going to have to go through block and brick or steel? What is it? So that we can make sure that we have that marked out and make sure we have all of the correct material there. We should have that already, but just in case something changed or just in case something got missed, we want to make sure that we get that before we start pulling cable and have to stop the job. Once we've confirmed that, the next thing we want to do is we want to confirm every MDF and IDF on site. A lot of locations just have the one MDF, so one main IT room. However, depending on the size of the location, they may have one main IT room and then 1, 2, or 3 IDFs, so sub IT closets. Once we've done that, we want to take the map. So the map that we've been given in the very beginning, or the map that we drew out of the location from the original walkthrough, that has everything ready. It shows where the cameras need to be, shows where the IT closets are. But now that we've done this walkthrough, we know which routes need to come out of which IDF or if it needs to come out of the MDF. So what we want to do is we want to actually go through and section this off. Sectioning it off according to the IT closet. So if there's one IT closet, then that's easy. It's all one section. If there's two, then we split it down the middle. Which routes are going to go to the main? Which routes are going to go to the secondary? And so on. So if it's 3, 4, 5, we're going to do it that way. Once we've done that, we've discovered which routes are going to come out of each one. We're going to section this off and say this is section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the section that this is based on is going to be as far as the priority in which we begin. So section 1 is where we start. Section 4 or section 5 is where we end. This will take about 1 to 2 hours at the very beginning of the job. However, even though it takes that long in the beginning of it, it will save a ton of time down the line. And we're going to get into why. The next step, we want to actually go through and set up all of the IT equipment. So if we have a rack that we need to install, let's install the rack. Let's install that managed router that goes in. Let's install the patch panels. Let's install the switches. Get all of those in place. Get all of those online before we do anything else. This will help us so that when we do each section, at the end of every section, we're not going to have to go back and touch it again. We're going to be completely done with it. Once we've completed that and the managed router and all of those switches are online, at that point, we can begin. The process to which we begin we call PLTTMOC. PLTTMOC. Pull, label, terminate, test, mount, online, cleanup. This is the process that gets us in and out of each section so that when we finish section number 1, we don't ever have to come back. So what this looks like is when we pull the cable, these two things are going to be done simultaneously. And this is going to seem a little overkill, but when we label this, we want to use 4. So we label both ends of the cable, we label the patch panel, and we label the device. We do this not just for the installation, but we do this for the maintenance coming down the road. If something happens, we want to be able to know. We're going to add one more digital label that'll be done at the very end of the installation. As we're getting everything signed off, we want to make sure that the managed router has the managed switch labeled by the port per device. So we're going to actually be labeling this 5 times. 4 of them physical labels, 1 of them digital labels. Once we've got the cable labeled and pulled, we're going to then terminate and then test, then mount the device, pull them online. And when we pull them online, if it's a camera, we want to also adjust the field of view. Once we've done that for the entire section, we're going to do the cleanup of the entire section. Ceiling tiles put back. The floors are going to be swept. The IT closet's going to be cleaned up. Boxes, material, everything's going to be moved out of section number 1 because we don't want to have to come back to it. After we've done that with section 1, we take pictures, we take a video to make sure that it's all been cleaned up so we have proof of that, and then we can move on. I'm going to show you what this looks like. Here we have just a basic drawing of a school. This school has a main and 4 subsections. The way we do this is we take the main and we split it. We split it. We split it. Let's do this so we can see it. Once we've split this into sections, we can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Very first, and depending on the organization, this should have already been done by the organization themselves, so we shouldn't have to do this unless we are building this out completely. But have a route that connects all the IT closets. Once we have confirmed that all of the IT closets are connected on the same network, we want to make sure that we have done this. Once we do that, we know that we can start pulling our routes. If section number 1 has 3 devices, so cameras or wall ports or whatever it is that we're pulling cable for, we want to make sure that we take care of all of those directly out of the MDF or the IDF here. We want to mount those devices. If we're putting in wall jacks, we want to make sure that that is done completely with the wall plates, and those wall plates be labeled as well. If it's cameras, we want to take care of the cameras. If it's doors, we want to make sure that those doors and the access control is done as well. Once we've done this, we can officially green light and mark this one off. Now we never have to come back to section number 1 again. And we're going to do that through section 2, section 3, and section 4. Once that is complete, we do a final walkthrough with the customer. Once we've done that walkthrough with the customer, they then sign off. Once they sign off, this job is complete, and that then gets pushed the project back to the project management team, which then will have an offboarding call, and then to push them over to tech support. Any questions?